Okay, so we met like a week ago, and we were talking about strategies that you might want to use, different things that you wanted to work on in your classroom, that kind of thing, strengths, weaknesses, we've talked about those. And so I think you identified that you wanted to work on students being able to comprehend informational text.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what kind of problems, I guess, do you see with students when you give them informational text to read?
When I give them the text to read, when they have to read the entirety of it in one setting, and then trying to answer comprehension questions, they can't comprehend that much information at one time.
Okay.
So there's just a lot of comprehension issues when we read the text as a whole.
So they might remember like random things,
yes,
but
okay. Not in its entirety.
Okay. So there's three, and I know that we talked about that, and I've observed. So I have three kind of strategies that you can use, and I don't know how much you use like analyzing text. And that can even just be, you have them, like I've had in my class where they take a chunk of text and they have to like draw a picture of it, or they have to underline key vocabulary, just something like that. That's just a simple strategy. But the other two are more, they take a little bit longer, so they'll take a good portion of probably your class time to do, but it helps them understand a lot better. Have you ever done a jigsaw?
I haven't.
Have you ever heard of questioning reading strategy?
No.
Okay. So jigsaw, you've heard of jigsaw? Yes. Okay. So a jigsaw is a strategy that I actually use a lot. But you know, jigsaw, so you would hand out your text, and you can chunk it. So let's say that you're doing an article about the Holocaust. You would kind of find stopping points, and you could put them into groups. I do groups of 4. And so each person would just read their chunk, and I even write on it like desk A, desk B, and so that way they know what they read. You give them time to read, and then I always send them into what are called home groups, and so it's groups of the same people that read the same chunk of text. So like if desk A read the intro, then all of desk A would get together, and they might explain to each other about what they read. You might hand them like short questions or things that they're looking for, and then after that they go back to their group and they have to teach their group what they read. So one way that this might help with understanding informational text is they're reading such a small portion of text that they can understand it easier, because it's not not reading it all in one pretty much. And then they're learning from their peers, and normally they listen a little bit better when their peers are talking to them than when you're telling them. So jigsaw is that one, and then the questioning reading strategy I actually got from Miss Ward last year, and it actually works pretty well. So you give them the article, and you give them a paper, and it looks like this. It says questioning reading strategy at the top, and then it has like types of questions. So you have like fact-based questions, and then open-minded questions, and then the 3 boxes below, and then it has the page number, and then it says your answer and evidence. And so what it is, they would read it. So I normally say, okay, I'm giving you, 15 minutes to read this article. Just go through and read it. They don't have to write anything down. And then we go through types of questions. So you have fact-based questions, which is who, what, when, where, why, how. And then open-ended questions like how would you feel, what would happen if, that sort of thing. And so I have each student, they have to write down 3 fact-based questions. So those who, what, when, where, why, and how. And then they have to write down 3 open-ended questions. And so they just write the questions based on the article, and I make sure they know what are they supposed to be learning, what are they looking for, so that way when they write their questions, they're not just writing down random.
Right.
Yeah, so like the first time I did this, we didn't go over like what they were looking for, and so I had random kids writing questions that weren't even a part of the article.
Yeah.
So, it's also good too because a lot of kids have to participate in order for it to work, so it's not like they cannot read it and still get away with not doing it. Yeah, so they write 3 open-ended questions, 3 fact-based questions, then you take all the questions up, and then you pass them back out, and they can't get their own, and then they're answering people's questions that they wrote. So not only do they have to kind of flip their perspective to write the questions,
Mhm.
but then they answer them and they have to put evidence from the text, so they have to be able to cite it, and all that sort of thing. This actually works really well if they, I mean, obviously they have to take it seriously.
Yes.
It works really well too because if you have kids that work at a slower pace, you can pick theirs up later and then trade it with other kids who might work at a slower pace too. So even if you don't take everybody's up at one time, you can still kind of trade off while other people are working. So it works pretty well. You can pick one that you might want to try this week when I come observe. Just kind of see how it goes, or even if you want to try it before, and then the second time can be like when I come in to observe. That way you're not just trying something completely new just to start it off. So do you think either of those sounds like something you would use in your classroom?
Yeah. I have heard lots about Jigsaw,
Okay.
but haven't used one.
Okay.
But I would definitely be interested in trying.
And trying a Jigsaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It breaks it down.
Especially with
you
your
have to read the entirety of it.
yeah, especially with I think your content.
Yes.
Well, and like your kids, because you have a good range of like high kids,
Yes.
low kids, medium. So, and that's it. That is one downfall to the questioning reading strategy is everybody has to read the entire
Yes.
passage. And sometimes I have kids that it takes them quite a while to do that. So, okay, so perfect. So we'll work with Jigsaw, and then if you want to use any of the other strategies, I have the papers for you that you can take, so you can try to implement those, and we'll kind of see how it goes from there.